people, the society, the nation as such. So if you remember back, back in the 80s, when people start talking about analog mobile communication networks, then that evolves into digital data network when you're looking at high-speed packet access network. So I'm going to use a bit of a jargon here, of course, because that's pretty much technology. Then now what we're talking about, not the really future, because that's one of the message that I'm going to actually really talk about. 5G is actually not future, it's actually reality. That will be my key takeaway point today. So what do you talk about 5G? Because I was really interested when Manju was presenting, because I came quite late, so that was the last presentation. If I really want to relate that back about drones, when you talk about agriculture, how do you actually bring the technology back to the society? So that is 5G, it's all about. So let me see. So when we talk about this 5G, people always talk about 5G. Is it really radio, guys? No, it's not really radio. I don't know whether you have watched the movie Perfect Storm. I'm really a movie buff guy, so I really like movies, so that's one of the things. So if you watch that movie, there is always this confluence of forces. I'm not talking about weather patterns here. But here, when you talk about 5G, or in terms of technology, you have these three confluence of forces. What I call 5G, basically the enabler for you to make sure that you can develop use cases and applications. So 5G will be the enabler for that applications and use cases that I'm going to touch about later on. And then this Internet of Things. I'm sure you have all heard about Internet of Things. There's a lot of discussions. I'm going to tie that back to the use cases and applications. So in a really most profound way, what is this Internet of Things? So it is actually, if I want to say a bit more of technical philosophy, it's actually about, how do I say it, like a digital representation of the real world objects. Sounds very philosophical, right? So that's about IoT. In other simple things is you're just connecting devices and sensors. So is it really that? So I'm just going to cover that a little bit more. And then cloud. Of course, cloud has been almost towards all societies. So I think I will just describe that. But what are the things that when we talk about cloud is those technologies that you will be hearing it more often. Network function virtualization, software-defined networking. So what does it bring? It brings the agility, the efficiency to the network, together with the radio access network. So it is a combination of these three forces that basically will establish the vision of network society. So it is not all about technology, about how it's going to give back that to the society. Okay, so I'm just going to jump straight into use cases. It may sound very technical, but then if you relate back to the earlier presentations, because I have one or few real-life examples. So 5G, okay, if I want to get a little bit more technical, the standardization is still happening, but again, you probably have been hearing trials announcements over the last 1 year. So one of the things that has been published recently, back in just a couple of months back, International Telecommunication Union has actually published what is really 5G is all about. Because if you have been using mobile phones, so what is the first thing that you always want to know? How much speed do I get? You always want to complain back to Mobitel to say that, hey, I'm not getting enough speed. I don't have coverage. Come on, man, what is this? So I think that's this is what the society is all about. It's always about bandwidth hungry. I want speed. And I'm sure, because I've been in Sri Lanka for the last 3 years now, I have seen a shift from Asia Pacific where people have gone crazy about data, and that's happening here right now. So I would say this is going to be the next step. So when you talk about this International Telecommunication Union, basically it's ITU in short. So what they have actually said about the specifications for 5G. So in short, they are looking at 20 Gbps capacity in peak download, 20 Gbps. And then that's actually for downlink, and uplink 10 Gbps. So you might be asking, Gobi, why are you talking about peak? Okay, of course, then there is another aspect of it, what we call the user experience peak. So that itself is very phenomenal, that we are talking about 100 megabits downlink, and then 50 megabits on uplink. So yeah, so 20 gig is big. So if you compare to your current experience that you have today, average in your LTE network, you'll probably get about 5 to 20 megabits of a capacity. So this is the first key point that I wanted to actually raise, because I'm going to cover through the use cases, but in order for you to understand the use cases, the first key requirement of 5G is ultra-high bit rates. That is one of the most important fundamental that drives the technology. Of course, there are a lot of other parts of it, but people want data. So this is one of the things that they're looking at, actually. So you can see the data rates will be one of the key drivers. Then the second part of it, which goes back to her earlier presentation I like about drones, because when we talk about mission critical applications, when we talk about those which is very, very sensitive to delays. So what in technology term, what we call is latency. So if I just want to give you latency, because I know latency may sound technical, but if I want to put it into a very layman's perspective, call it like a lag. If you are really into cars, I don't know whether you know about turbo lags. Okay, maybe that sounds too difficult. So if I want to put it into a more layman, let's say if you flick on the Netflix button, by the time you get that video streaming to happen, that is the delay, that's the lag. So what do you need? What do you expect actually? What the user wants? Basically, when I click the Netflix button, I want to have that video immediately. And that is what 5G all about. So if I want to give you a difference, what's happened in GPRS back in, let's say, late 90s, okay, early 2000s, we're talking about GPRS of 700 millisecond of latency. And now you're talking about 5G, and we're talking about 1 millisecond. So you can see the difference. So why this is important? It goes back to, again, the presentation from drones. Sorry, I always refer back to that discussion, because imagine if you have drones basically being remote control. Of course, he mentioned to say that, okay, it's all pretty much set. But imagine if you have an application mission, suddenly there was a disaster, and then you need to have multiple drones, needs to be sort of controlled, and then you need this latency. I'm going to cover that through that later on, a bit on the application. So first is ultra-high bit rate. Second is basically latency. So we are talking about 1 millisecond latency. This is very important for mission critical, and this is also important for those applications which will excite most youngsters, which is about gaming. I'm going to cover that a bit later. So then the third. So when we talk about high capacity, so what happens is you need massive capacity in the network. I'm not saying you probably saw that LTE is there, yes. But then the problem is whenever you have that number of applications being developed, mission critical applications, then you have massive IoTs, then you have every homes which has sensors and which is actually listed sensors everywhere. So in fact, in future, when we talk about having sensors everywhere in the network, imagine the amount of data that's going to be pumped into the network. So you need super big, huge highways. So if I want to put this into a simple analogy, you're talking about from going through, if you take a candy road, basically you have these 2 lanes, and then, sorry, it's actually 1 lane, but then you need like a 4 or 5 lanes. So you need that kind of a capacity of the network that you want to do. So that's the third point. And then what we're talking about is the fourth point. So basically, you can see, when you talk about the next generation networks, it goes beyond personal communication. It is no longer about me calling my girlfriend, my wife, or my husband. So it actually is going to go beyond that. It's going to be multi-party sort of communication. So we are not saying that it's going to be human to human, it's going to be mission-type communications. So if I want to relate back to the mission-type communications, so I talked about mission-critical, but then what we call another term is called massive IoT. So what does massive IoT means? It goes back to the sensors and everywhere. So in order to do that, what you need to do is you need to have that capability or 5G capability built into these devices, which is going to be so cheap and it's going to be so low power consumption. That is the key criteria for you to actually really make sure that the IoT takes off. Because if you don't have the cost factor and then you don't have the power consumption, because nobody wants to buy a fridge and then you need to go to change that module because of the power has actually gone drained down. So basically these are the two which is interrelated. We are talking about low cost and low power consumption, which drives the Internet of Things, which goes into some part of the use cases that I've mentioned. So I've covered third, fourth, and fifth. Then there's another important one. It goes back to, again, all those mission-critical applications. So what we call the reliability. I'm sure you've heard, if you have been in the network, especially the engineering guys, Mobitel engineering guys, there's always the case that you're talking about 5 nines, 99.999. This is the reliability that is being used as a benchmark for you to make sure the network is reliable. But then what we're looking at is, yes, it's reliable, but then we need to stretch it even further. So there's a lot of discussions about stretching even to 6 nines, 99.99999. So basically, what it does is it gives you that extra reliability. Why reliability is important? Imagine if you have these drones going all over and it starts clashing all over the place. I mean, that is going to be a major disaster. And imagine you're doing remote surgery, and if you do not have the reliability, that's going to be a life and death, similar to the other applications I'm going to discuss a bit later. So this just to give you a bit of a picture, the requirements on 5G. So ultra high bandwidth, high rate capacities, you're talking about low power consumption, low cost devices, reliability, then we're also talking about latency, which is all part of the 5G requirements. Then a real game changer. So this is where it's going to excite a lot of people, because I can talk here for days about 5G technologies, but if it doesn't relate back to me as an individual, so it doesn't make any, okay, I shouldn't use that word, but then it doesn't bring any benefits to me at all. So again, this drone, it was not because of Manoj's presentation, but it was already there. Even before, I never knew that presentation was there. Drone control and communication. So I could sort of relate that back to this discussion. So I don't have to go detail because I think he has done all the presentation. But then we're talking about how those information that will be received by the drones and that will be need to be conveyed. Because no point having wealth of information about that contour maps, that garbage dump, and without you having processing the information, it won't help. So those analysis, and that needs to be done, it needs to be done on real-time basis. So the technology will facilitate that. And then I'm just going to tell you this difference. There was, if you have been to the Mobile World Congress, this Stop a Self-Driving Car, because you have been hearing a lot of this concept about autonomous car, self-driving car, robotic cars. So if I can give you the impact of latency, they have actually done this testing. If you have actually used LTE technology to stop a car, and then if you use 5G prototype systems to stop a car, the guy who was, the robot that was in the 4G car actually crashed and died because he couldn't stop in time. So that shows the criticality of latency. So the latency is actually very important, because when you start controlling cars, because you see, when you talk about in the future, not now, but in maybe 5 years' time, I'm sure you have heard that Google has been releasing information about what the concept called Google Cars, because they are actually adapting an Android specifically for cars. It's no longer that your phone is the master, but then it actually has a lot of those autonomous operation itself. So imagine the cars are not being controlled by the car itself, but what we are talking about is all the traffic within the city are communicating to each other. So latency, reliability, and information is important for those kind of applications. So just to give you a bit of a perspective, how does the technology impacts on the driving? And another one, which is my favorite, and which is going to be quite important for the crowd here. I mean, because if you talk about use case applications and development, there's a lot of things. Of course, I will talk about remote operate robots, virtual reality. I'm sure all of you have heard VRs, virtual reality. And then have you heard the concept called augmented reality as well? So I guess you all know the difference, because virtual reality pretty much closed. You're looking at this digital imagery. But then when you talk about augmented reality, it's actually about representation of the digital imagery on the real world imaginary. So it's actually a big difference. So why this is important in the 5G? Because imagine you're getting all these sensors of information that needs to be processed almost real time to give that immersive experience for the user. So 5G enables that, because the number of informations, the latency, the reliability of it, it actually helps to have a better user experience. So this virtual, I mean, if I want to tie this back to the Google initiative, there's a project called Project Tango. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually driven by Google, about how do you actually take this augmented reality to next step. And then if you talk about virtual reality, I think there is this goggle from Google called Daydream. So these are all part of the applications that is being developed by Google. And if you look at that Google I/O website today, these are the things they have mentioned that they're going to follow. There are 3 things that I picked up from that. One is basically the Google car, this virtual reality, augmented reality, and of course the home automation, which is pretty much not captured here, but it goes back to this fixed wireless broadband because your homes is going to have quite a number of sensors. I'm not saying this is futuristic, but that's going to happen the next part. Okay? Yeah, so now we talk about 5G. So I hope it's clear when it comes to the applications. It will be moving a bit more technical, a bit more details on that. My intention is not to bore you with details on that, but just to give you a bit of a snapshot. Because a lot of people have been asking, hey guys, actually 5G is actually, it's just too far away. Not really. I mean, there's been a lot of discussions and activities surrounding. You would have also probably seen that in the newspaper coverage, whether in Sri Lanka, whether in globally. So as you can see here, left and right. So there are a lot of activities happening in the standardization. This is actually pretty much the standardization activities. One of the key points that I want to highlight here is back in 2018, there will be this Korean Winter Olympics. And that is expected to be the first network on full-fledged 5G. And the trick about that is because during that period, the standard is not finalized. Because the standard is actually being defined in March from 2017 all the way to 2018, which is 3GPP R15, a bit details, but these are the 3GPP standards which actually dictates about the 5G technology. So what I'm trying to say here is a lot of operators wants to have this 5G ahead of the standardization, which is actually in contrary to what you have seen in the previous generations, where the uptake of services, the demand it was actually coming at one at a stage. But here you could see that there's a lot of driving. So that shows there is a lot of activities surrounding this 5G. Okay, it is a bit more detailed because the thing is, it's supposed to be a technology presentation, so I went a bit detail on this because when people talk about 5G, is it really the radio access? But what I'm trying to paint here is basically the 5G involves the entire network elements infrastructure itself. So from the 5G radio, from the core elements, and also as you can see from the enterprise cloud, and then you're talking about service providers. So it's actually a full suite of areas that you're going to look at. Let me see if I can actually just give you a bit of a picture on this. Then, of course, this is also about a little bit more about the capabilities in the core network. So why I have actually selected this? Because what you don't have in current network today is, let's say, for example, these drone applications. That is required for that specific time. You can't be building the network for drones. So what you need is you need the capability in the network to create that demand that is required for drones, or is it required for the some disaster part, or is something like a mining company who wants to actually do mining for that period of time. So what they will do is they'll come to Mobitel and says, hey, I need this requirement. So basically this network slicing will give that connectivity optimized for that specific applications. So you're not going to build and just say that, sorry guys, I built this and I'm going to scrap this. You're going to use the infrastructure, you're going to actually use those slicing to meet the demands of that specific, I would say applications, or I would say use cases, or I would say this is specifically users itself. So these are the capabilities that we are looking at from the 5G technology that actually enables this kind of capability to be achieved. So it's just a quick snapshot. Okay, then there is no 5G discussions if you don't talk about radio. Unfortunately, that's how it starts. Because when you talk about 2G, 3G, 4G, you can talk about data rates, but if you see the technical guys, it's basically the radio technology that enables that. This is a bit technical, of course. So why, if I want to put it in a layman's perspective, as I mentioned to you, Kandy has this one road, for example. So what do you need? You need a bigger road. So if you need a bigger road, you need a new spectrum, new frequency. So that is what it's all about. So basically, you definitely need basically a new radio spectrums. There's a lot of discussions about spectrum. Why spectrum is important? Because that gives you that information superhighway. Basically, you need that bandwidth. So how much bandwidth we are talking about? Typically, 400 to 800 megahertz of capacity. What this gives, it goes back to what I said about the capacity. So it is really important because this kind of radio will enable new applications and also the new use cases that I mentioned earlier. So of course, you saw the video, the LTE network, the existing will be there. It will be coexisting with the new spectrum, and that gives you a rough understanding on the range. It may sound a bit too technical, but this is what is going to enable the 5G technology that has been actually talked about here. Okay, actually this is my last slide because I have precisely 20 minutes, so I'm not going to take more than that. So what's the key takeaway from my presentation? So again, if you want to just walk away from this room, 5G, it's not a hype. It's a reality. It's happening now itself. You already heard Ericsson has been, of course, I work for Ericsson, so we have been actually doing trials with the operators, and we are talking about 30 trials at this point in time. You already see data speed and everything being announced in the paper. So it is a reality. So it is not a hype. It is actually already happening now. It's going to be more mature, and that's where we need the developers, we need the companies like Google, we need Volvos, we need companies, drones, we need all this agriculture, because I heard there was a presentation earlier from the agriculture. So imagine for Sri Lanka, I think there was a discussion we had with Prabhat actually, just to mention since. So there's been a lot of about discussions about how do you actually put these sensors, because we talked about sensors. How do you actually have these sensors? Because I just got to know from you again, I mentioned you again and again because that was the last presentation. You talked about these most used fertilizers or the chemicals, I can't remember, the chemicals, right? So what basically we have done is there was one project in Germany that we have done is we started putting sensors almost all in the network. So it actually gauges and monitors the amount of chemicals that is actually being used in the field. So it actually starts giving you analytics. Maybe analytics is basically the representation of data, right? To tell you, hey guys, you need to go easy on this. So it's not about only the fertilizers, it's not about that. It's about humidity, it's about air, it's about basically combination of all that is required to make sure you have a sustainable, green agriculture society. One of the other discussion, which was a bit more futuristic, is they started even talking about putting sensors in the cow. Because if you have hundreds of, I don't know about hundreds of cows, let's say you have a number of cows which will be tracked individually. So of course I know there will be issue with with the animal rights and stuff like that, but then this is one of the things that they have actually talked about. So this is just to give you a picture about what is 5G technology all about. So if I just want to say one key takeaway, 5G is a reality, it's not a market hype, and then it actually gives users connectivity to anyone, anything, anywhere, anytime. And that ends my presentation. Thank you.